Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Friday, the 21st of August. My disclaimer: I did this for educational purposes only. Morning, Doug. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. We're seeing a bit of a rally this morning, and I gotta say, this has me something I was wondering about yesterday, and I'm still wondering about is not so much on here, where we've got a clear double top that's broken down with a really nice target in the 76.05 to 76.20 range. But I was wondering about it on NQ looking at it yesterday. I was wondering if we might, this actually is an okay double top starting to break down here, but I'm wondering whether we could form an inverted head and shoulders here and whether these the couple of buy signals remaining could actually make target. And I'm wondering if we might do that this morning. RTY, again, we've got a double top that's broken up here, broken down here, and I've marked that up, but obviously this also has potential to turn into a larger head and shoulders. So watching that with interest this morning. YM, well, that still looks kind of like a bull flag, actually. It's more interesting on the daily chart. DAX, we're seeing a bit of a rally here, hasn't made it to the possible near miss target yet on the buy signal. Same with the STX, but getting into the zone. And if we see a bit more upside, then it could be potentially there. Here on Nikkei, this is a sideways consolidation, but it could be a double bottom. So I'm wondering if this might be about to break up. So I'm sort of kind of got mixed feelings. I've got some arguments for going lower here, but quite a lot of the arguments that were the bigger picture arguments for going lower have actually pretty much expired, particularly the sell signals. Now, the sell signal has now basically reached the full target, and we are testing the daily middle band, which is obviously a pretty important support area. SPX, the same. So pretty much made target. Looking at the Qs, we've made the possible near miss target there too, and again we're testing the daily middle band. Dia is interesting because having led all this way up here, I mentioned that it was leading the pack to the downside, and we've made it through the daily middle band, and we're pretty close to a test of this rising support trend line here, which is quite an important rising support trend line. Again though, even if we're going to see a larger retracement, I'd be wondering about forming some kind of a reversal pattern. Now we could of course come down to 515 area here and do a right shoulder bounce, but equally we could go back and retest the high, which would be a very usual way of doing it. All right, looking at the hourly charts and the 15s, hourly didn't get any positive divergence though here really. 15-minute, we didn't get any either. That is unusual if we're going to see a move straight back up. Looking at the hourly chart on Qs, did get a little bit of positive divergence here on the RSI 14. Nice looking RSI 5 buy signal brewing. So that means, yeah, we've got a 15-minute buy signal fixed already on the RSI 14. Looking at Dia, Dia didn't get any positive divergence on the hourly. 15-minute, tiny bit maybe. But we have a strong setup for reversal here? No, but on the other hand, it's Friday. We're seeing a decent bounce here, and I do have a couple of potential head and shoulder, right shoulders, which could be forming, and the two sell signals we have already made target. Looking at IWM, we have on the daily chart, we are testing the daily middle band. On the hourly chart, we had a sell signal that made target. No current positive divergence. 15-minute chart, we had a bit of positive divergence here, and we've got both RSI 14 and RSI 5 buy signals fixed on the 15-minute chart, and you can see why I'm wondering about a possible right shoulder bounce here. We shall see how that goes today. Looking at DAX, DAX made it back to the daily middle band test. Nikkei has been testing the daily middle band. These could all find support at the daily middle band and get back to the highs. Not really seeing quite the divergence I'd normally expect to see, but it is worth considering. This may be as far as this gets, and we could go back and retest the highs from here. All right, let's have a look at DX, which is looking pretty weak, and almost back at a retest of this low. On the other currency, the USD has already retested that high and has a possible little level top here and a 60-minute sell signal fixed. GBP USD has one fixed as well. USD JPY, buy signal reached possible near miss target. This flag is breaking down, not seeing an obvious reversal pattern forming yet. USD CAD, I think we've killed off the bull flag here. With this move down, we do have a 60-minute buy signal fixed here too. Australian dollar, we had a weak sell signal here, and that has failed. While this has continued higher, and NZUSD has continued higher as well. Hasn't failed the 60-minute sell signal there, but it's definitely in the danger zone. Looking at looking at ZB. Beston's effort to bring down the 30-year yield so far has yielded essentially nothing. So we may just resume the obvious trend here, which is down. So ZN still looks like a bearish consolidation. Never really moved the needle on that, but of course it's aimed at the longer term yield. ZN is the 10-year and ZB is the 30. Looking at coil, we're pretty close to the highs here and pretty close to a retest of this high here. So I'm really watching the spot prices more for this, but CL, nice moves up as well. HO has actually made higher highs already. RBOB made higher highs too, and is pretty close to those. In terms of the what we're looking at on the Brent and coil spot charts, we don't have any negative divergence on the daily chart. On the hourly chart, which is great. So we had an early RSI 14 sell signal here, which failed, and I think I'm not sure it failed. No, it didn't fail here. But really, we've had a variety of sell signals on these, and they've all failed or made target, and they're basically out of the picture. I'm leaning towards this going higher. I don't think the markets. Besson was expressing surprise that the oil prices were rising yesterday, but of course that's because this idea that the US is going to threaten everyone into not dealing with China has actually run into its first major obstacle, which is dealing with Iran. Its first major obstacle is of course China, and China have just rejected it entirely. They've also got to get all of Iran's neighbors to join in. That looks pretty dubious as well. Altogether, it's not a good plan. It's probably better than bombing. But as a plan to get Iran back to the table, it doesn't look particularly promising. We will see how it goes. I am wondering about these possible IHS patterns, which have got targets back up at a retest of these highs. We shall see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at NG, where we've seen a 50 back, basically, and it could be that we're going to see a fail back into the lows, kind of leaning towards that. But we could go up instead. GC has continued higher, possible full size now. 60-minute sell signal brewing. All right, hang on. But obviously we're just continuing up towards the double bottom target. I'm thinking we may actually make that next week. We shall see. SI getting towards the target as well. Palladium not getting towards the target, and I'm a bit concerned this isn't going to. And this really, really nice looking bear flag here is not helping my sentiment on that. I'm thinking that this may actually just continue forming the flag while the other two make target, and then we see some kind of a retrace. Looking at platinum, we've seen, I was wondering about a reversal here for an inverse head and shoulders, right shoulder. Doesn't look like we're going to get it. This is a breakup. So not really seeing an IHS here, so that doesn't really give us a target. HG, bit of a rally here, wondering about a overall double top here in the context. KC still leaning towards seeing a retest this high. SB pulling back a bit on the 60-minute sell signal. CC still expecting to see a retest of this high. Lumber, I think this is a consolidation before we go lower and test a big support level in about the 540 area. The buy signal has now reached the possible near miss target. CT is continuing higher at the moment. Wheat made the double bottom target and is consolidating, it looks like. Same with corn. Weak 6-minute sell signal fixed there. Soy, weak 6-minute sell signals reached the possible near miss target, looking for a retest of this high, which we haven't seen yet. ZL, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this high here as the next big target. Live cattle, this is thinking about it. We do have a potential level bottom here, but I think it's more likely we go down and head towards the head and shoulder target in the 204.45 area. And here on lean hogs, I'm looking for a retest of this low here, which we haven't quite seen yet. All right, great. In that case, let's have a look at questions, of which we have none. All right, my pleasure, mate, and have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you again on Monday. All right, cheers.